Welcome to the Antonio Parkinson Project. I am Antonio Parkinson, and today we are going to be talking about Women's History Month. We are also going to be talking to Mayor Lee Harris, Mayor of Shelby County, and we're also going to talk about 5 things you should do when you get that tax return. We'll be right back. You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project. Antonio Parkinson Project. I am Antonio Parkinson, and we're glad to have you. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, comment, share button, because we need you, and it always does us some good when you subscribe, especially on YouTube. You know, as our numbers go up, the better it is for us on the algorithm. So we appreciate you. Shout out, we finally hit that 200 mark on the subscribers. Angelica, Rico. So look, we got a lot to talk about, a lot of things going on, a lot of things in the news. It is March.
Yes.
Welcome to March. Spring is on its way. What do y'all think? We still got one more cold spell in us? What you think?
I think we have one more cold spell because we were just enjoying the 70s. Now it's like, what, 42, 43. And then this weekend it's supposed to be back on the 70s. And I know my husband said he's going to put something on the grill. You know, black people, as soon as a little sun, we want to put something on the grill.
Man, we will grill in the snow. I've grilled in the snow many times.
Yes,
DJ
yes,
Kojak is in the building.
In the house, March Madness.
March Madness, that's
I forgot
right.
about
It sure
that.
is, man.
Yeah.
It sure is. Is our beloved University of Memphis Tigers, they going to make it to the tournament this year? Oh, Lord. Come on, Coach. Penny.
Come on now.
Come on, Coach. What you think?
I don't know.
Angelica, you follow University of Memphis?
No, but I was going to tell you that my bonus child's mom got proposed to during the game last year. Not last year, last week at the Tigers game. They're in the newspaper.
Well, are you happy about that?
I'm excited. I love her and her fiance.
Oh, okay. What y'all got a little, what kind of relationship y'all got? You and, thank you for that segue.
What?
Thank you for that. Wait a minute, were they on the kiss cam and he proposed?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay, she married a white dude, right?
Yep, his name's Josh. Yep.
Oh, I saw that.
Yes, Josh
Okay.
and Shell. So congrats. They're Tiger fans.
Hey, welcome to the community, Josh.
Welcome.
Yeah, you get to show up at the family reunions now, and get some good food, and
I've been doing that, please.
Yeah,
He's a nice dude. She's really nice, and they're Tiger fans. So that just made me think about it. I don't watch the Tiger.
Okay. How's this potato salad?
I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay.
But Shell, she can cook really good.
Okay. Well, there you go. He got covered in, right?
Yeah, Shell cook really good.
Yep.
Please. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yeah, shout out to everybody that's watching online. You know, if you have any questions, of course, like I said, we got Mayor Lee Harris coming in. It's going to be a good show. We're going to talk about a lot of things and see what's on the mayor's agenda.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Hey, y'all, it's tax season. We're still in tax season. What we doing with them returns, man?
I don't get a return.
Here we go, Coach A.
I don't get a return. You get a return?
Angelica, you get a return.
What do I get?
Kojak. Kojak. She don't want to share her return.
Yeah, we're my tax lady. TBM Tax is my tax lady. She will vouch. I do not get a return. I think one year I got like $100. I barely broke even. I promise.
More money taxes is my tax.
I file separate than my husband, and I let him file the baby.
Okay.
There you go.
So that's a segue.
Okay.
So
Okay.
are y'all letting y'all significant others, the baby dads?
How do you decide that? That's the question. How do you decide who's going to carry the baby? Because I know sometimes, you'll have these mamas, and I'm sure some of the daddies do it too. So y'all don't come for me. Come for Kojak. Sometimes these mamas will grab and file these babies before the dad has a chance to file a baby. And my question is, if the dad is paying child support, should he have a right to file the baby?
Or not just child support, they're supporting the child.
Yes.
Yeah. Should he have a right? Hey, y'all hit us up in the comments. What about it, Kojak? Should the dad have the right?
Should the dad have the right, Kojak?
Yeah.
To file a baby?
Yes.
What do you, and to all our tax professionals, what do you do if one parent jumps the other parent and files the baby before the other parent gets a chance, and it should have been his turn or her turn to file the baby?
Nothing.
They're gonna flag it. They both file. Yeah, they'll get
Nothing. They ain't
flagged.
gonna do
Yeah, but how do you decide it?
They don't decide. I think it's automatic. Women automatically believe they should get to file. It's like an automatic thing.
That's so.
But I know. I have
It's
a
just an
friend. I have a
automatic thing.
friend.
What'd you
She
hear
was
that, Coach?
divorced.
I heard.
She was divorced, and her ex-husband, they took turns filing. So
Yep.
1 year she would file, the next year he would file. They took turns.
Right.
But sometimes people cheat though, and they file when it's not their turn to file because they're being greedy.
That's true.
Or they upset, bitter because of the breakup.
Right. This is one of those.
And then you
Who the did I marry?
Child feel that.
Yeah, you felt it. But I feel like the
Real
woman.
life.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like the
for real.
woman does have the right to file if they solely take care of the child and they don't have. Somebody cousin outside
Right,
mess
get your
up the
cousin.
background. Get your cousin. But
Leave pulling up.
so, right. I'm making an entrance, but I'm saying the woman should have the right to file the child if they pretty much take care of the child, because that's a lot of times that's the case. They are the sole provider. They make the sacrifice. They don't get any help, of course. But I feel like if somebody pays child support or they are supporting to help support the child, that's something they should figure out. You should get a part of it. You should split it. But everybody's relationship is different. But women just automatically think, they get it. Now, women, don't get mad at me.
Well, I don't know why they would get mad at you, because you laying out all these fallacies like they the sole supporters.
Most of the time they are.
That group is the loudest. That don't mean the
Oh,
majority.
No, we're gonna do a clip. You said that the women are the loudest.
Right. That group, that segment of women, because the majority of fathers want to be in their children's lives.
Yes. Yeah.
The majority of them are.
Yeah. They just automatically think they get to foul. What y'all want me to say? I don't know.
Well, what does that say?
I don't know. What does it say, Kojak?
Kojak?
Yeah, we're gonna put Kojak on the spot all show. Look,
Okay, so what it is?
I'm gonna check the comments. Okay.
What it is.
We on some new Mountain Dew. Kojak real slow today.
It depends. That it's a new
Oh, we
Mountain
get
Dew.
Oh Lord, oh Lord.
Kojak.
It depends who's actually taking care of the kids.
Ain't that what I just
Who's
said?
taking care? Hold on,
Hey.
hold on now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You said automatic. You said the women should automatic, and they automatically take care of.
That's not what. Okay.
That's what you said. But actually depend on who take care of the kids the majority of that year.
Oh,
That's the legal.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
That's the legal, but folks don't always stick to the legal. We know that, and we're talking about this during Women's History Month also. So speaking of Women's History Month, women have historically jumped and put the child on as a dependent before the man could. Is that part of women's history?
I have no idea. It's not part of my history. I can only speak on my history. I don't do that. So you ain't gonna put me. You ain't gonna get me. No, I don't know. But I mean, a lot of women just think it's automatically they get to file. It's just. I don't know. It's just an automatic. I don't know because I don't. But that just seems to be the pattern. What y'all want me to say?
Well, look at that, boy. Look at how she just took the soft road on that one.
Because I know, but my friends. I mean,
hey, if you know women that jump the taxes, file the baby when they know the man should have filed the baby. Hit us in the comments and let us know what your experience with them women have. Tell us what they were saying, as they were jumping the taxes. We're gonna call it. That's a new term, new glossary term. Right?
Okay.
Jumping the taxes. Yep.
Most people feel like they took care of the child. They did the most, and he don't need to get nothing.
But they jump the taxes when they're not even the main provider for the child. They just jump them because they want their return.
Now that's low down. That's the whole that we need a low down segment. No, they shouldn't do that. Now if he taking care of the child and he was a sole provider, no, that's something y'all should settle out. But unfortunately, everybody doesn't have. I mean, they don't have that.
What about the women that selling their kids during tax time?
What it?
Sell them so somebody else can carry them as a dependent.
A lot of people do that. Well, they're catching that more now. Back in the days, that used to be, you just give them some money. Them was the good days. I wouldn't know.
Oh,
I would not know.
she did.
Yeah, I ain't gonna see him at my door.
Right,
But I don't know. But I'm just saying now they are way more strict. They are, way more strict.
1,500. That
Right,
G-ball,
right,
that
right,
1,500.
right.
Yeah, people act funny around their taxes. Like I went to the grocery store, and no, I can't say that online either. Lord,
Please say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
no, you're not.
okay,
You're not
okay.
gonna get me. I'm being
Okay.
somewhere in that. No, but I'm saying people who usually who have assistance, and they usually, share the assistance. They get bougie around tax time.
Oh, so they're selling their stamps.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm just saying, but you can't find them nowhere.
They get scarce.
They get
Look,
they get real
it's
different.
It's about supply and demand. I was talking to somebody the other day. You know, we went into Cash America, and I was telling them about how when the PPP money came out and all the money hit during COVID, wasn't no items. You couldn't buy nothing out of Cash America because nobody wasn't pawning anything. In fact, they was buying all their stuff back. They was putting it back in their house. Right? They sold the TV, came back and got their TV, and TVs from Walmart. Yeah, you know, real talk though, the Walmart up here on Austin P was the #1 Walmart in the region during PPP time because everybody was going in buying TVs with their PPP
It
checks.
was like the worst time. I remember going into that Walmart. It was like
It was lit.
Where did I go? I forgot where I went. Somewhere. I forgot what store I went to. Marshall's. I said, "What is going on?" I said, "Dang, it's tax time." I usually around tax time, I don't buy nothing. I try to stay at home. I promise it'd be too bad.
Yeah, you know, tax time is like a second Christmas for Walmart. You know, so tax time. This is what one of my friends who managed the Walmart told me. She said, tax time, Christmas, obviously, right, and school, back to school.
Yeah,
she said those are the 3 Christmases for Walmart. Yeah, think about that. So they get a good hard hit. You know, people running there, you know, spending their money, and then when you factor in all the other fake holidays, you know, people that they get people to go out and spend their money on, you know, like Valentine's Day and stuff like that.
Even Easter.
Did you say a fake holiday?
Easter.
Easter. Yeah.
It's coming.
Yep, it's coming.
They're gonna have them suits, them 2-piece suits.
People still dress up for Easter though.
I know, not no more really. I know, I miss those little days.
Kojak, you still go get you an Easter suit?
Yeah, man. I get a couple, you know, some slacks and some gaiters. No,
Do you?
Do you
I
really?
look like she's for real.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Ain't no wrong with that.
But I believe it. You ain't get no pink suit or anything like that.
Nah, I don't do the pink suits.
You don't do the pink suits?
I really don't do Easter. I never really did.
Yeah. I'm not a big holiday person. Period. You know, to be honest with you.
Let me guess, a book is coming. I read this book.
You know what? Now is that nice? Is that Christian like? You know, come on now. You think Peter's gonna let you into heaven talking to me like that because I read a book?
No, Jesus ain't that petty. He gonna definitely let me in.
Right.
Go
I
ahead.
didn't say Jesus. I said St. Peter. St. Peter's at the gate.
Really?
Yeah. And he gonna open his book, the Book of Life, and he's gonna read it. He's gonna say, Angelica, she was petty with Touche.
This is that
on
Mexican
March
tequila
1st,
right here. See, this
right?
is gonna laugh.
Because he always references his books. And she said, "Oh Lord, here come another book."
Because baby, he gonna read a book. He the most book reading person I know.
Well, you know, I did pick up this new hobby, and you know, this new hobby, you know, of you know, books. You know, in my latter years, believe it or not, you know, when I discovered Audible. So if I can listen to the book, you know, I'm big on. I rather listen because I get sleepy when I read it when I page turn. And I know people that they don't want to read a book if they don't turn the pages.
Let me ask you a question. They said Cat Williams said he read 3,000 books a year. Do you think that's possible?
I think it is possible, but I bet you he's listening. I bet you he's listening to audio books, you know, versus you know, turning the page of every one of them. But I tell you the beauty of, and this is I wish Audible, they need to be a damn sponsor, but you know, the beauty of having Audible is that you can change the speed of the narrator. Right, you can pitch them up, right, which will make the book. It'll cut the book time down, you know, quite a bit if you pitch them up.
We want everything fast. We just want everything fast and accessible.
Well, there's our ADHD segue. So, tell me why you feel like we want everything fast.
This is what you said. You said you want to speed it up. You want to read too. You don't want to turn the book. We don't want to read the book. That's the whole point of reading a book. I feel like you want to read it.
So you enjoy cuddling up with a book.
Yeah,
reading.
Yeah, it takes. I have to write the notes down. That's how I read a book. It takes me a little longer.
Angelica ain't read a book since Run Spot Run.
I have read a book. I do read
Angelica,
books.
what book have you read, Angelica?
The last book I read was A Praying Wife, and then I'm in the middle of it's something about it's called Spiritual Warfare. It's like warfares in your mind that my mom gave me.
Okay.
I'm definitely, but it's one of those books you just can't read. You have to actually like read and study. So yes,
okay.
I write, I highlight. I got the highlight. You were surprised?
A little bit.
I got the highlighting kind that doesn't bleed.
Okay.
And I read the book.
Not the highlighting kind that doesn't bleed.
You know, I'm talking about the crayon kind, the crayon highlighter.
Okay.
Yes, I like to look and yes.
You know, but let me ask you this though, and you too, Kojak. What is your favorite book that you've read? Favorite book of all times?
Can it be do it got to be fiction or can it be
It
fiction?
can be whatever. It's whatever your favorite book is.
Mine used to be Fly Girls, that series. LeConte, what series? They made them yeah, Omar Tyree boy, with them books back in the day. I had to turn through them books. I stay up like, oof.
What
It's
book-
like a
what kind of book
show.
is this?
It's one of them fiction books. It's made into a movie now. Columbia,
ain't
not
one of them
Columbia.
books,
What's
is
the
it?
urban fiction books? That used to be my thing.
Hood
Now I'm
fiction.
more of a spiritual book reader.
Okay, hood fiction. They ain't one of them books though that one of them.
Fly Girl, that was called Fly Girl.
Oh, it's one of them books?
Yes, it was real good.
Oh,
Fly
okay.
Girl. Mm-hmm.
That's one of those books.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to make sure you're old enough.
Yeah,
That's before you can watch all that stuff on TV.
Porno
Now,
on page.
now you can
Right,
watch all
right.
that stuff on TV. You know, now TV.
That toggle the imagination.
Yeah.
How many of y'all reading those books? What's up, Andrea? Julian? What's up, Mayor? How many of y'all reading them books like and you know?
Now my friend, she be reading all the time. Like, girl, how many books you gonna order? She reading on her tablet.
So she just literally reading porn.
It's not all porn. It's about like
Oh, they put a little story in there.
Yeah, they put
But so do the
story.
porns though. Yeah, right.
That's where
Right.
what's the
The
different
plumber.
shades of gray?
Yeah.
Gray. What's it called?
Right. 50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey. They say it's better to read it than watch the movie.
Is it?
And the movie was already just too much. It was too much.
Okay, I couldn't even get through the whole movie. I thought it was trash, but that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. But my favorite book is White Trash: 400 Years of Classism in America.
Something my dad would read.
Yeah. That's it takes you all the way back to President George Washington before he was president, to the colonial days, all the way up to Obama, and gives you the political history in there and why things were moving and how things were moving, man. And what's interesting is this. You know, I remember hearing Donald Trump say, "I'm the reincarnation of President Andrew Jackson," and I was thinking about why would he say that, right? But after I had read that book, I understood it because Andrew Jackson was elected by the poor white folks in the country, right, who felt like their voice was not being heard. And this is where the word squatters come from, because watch this. Here's a little history lesson for y'all.
Yeah,
So when they were settling the West, or when they were stealing the West, right, the Western territories, right, the U.S. government or the British government, one of the two, gave, you know, all of these rich men territory, land. So they literally gave them land. I mean, we're talking about swaths of land size of state, right? And so what would happen is these poor white folks, y'all remember Little House on the Prairie? Those are the white folks I'm talking about. They would go out into these territories that was owned by these rich white men and set up their log cabins and start farming the land and you know and trying to clear it of the natives, right? And they were called squatters. Okay. So here's what would happen. Once the land was settled, then that rich owner would come back and kick them off their land, saying, "Hey, you're not supposed to be here." You know, they done set up a lifestyle and have probably been here for years, right? There goes the mayor right there. Probably been here for years. And now they're getting kicked off this land, getting kicked out of their homes, this, that, and other. And they were angry. And it was those folks that elected President Andrew Jackson.
Okay, look at me learning something. So me in social studies.
Right.
We teach a little bit on this show,
Right.
too.
Yeah.
Teach a little bit.
We do. Dr. K, what's happening? DJ Kojak, what's one of your favorite books? Do you have a favorite book?
Yes, I do. Richest Man in Babylon.
Okay.
Yeah, it changed me. It changed me.
Okay.
You got the mayor coming in.
We'll catch him in the second segment.
Okay.
Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah, you know, it just changed my perspective on a lot of things.
Okay. What was it about?
Man.
Kojak ain't read that book,
Oh,
Angelica.
Lord.
Angelica,
Oh, Lord.
Kojak ain't read that
Okay.
book. In fact,
How much
it
time
ain't.
you got?
I'm gonna go sit down.
Angelica, it ain't even a
have all-
title. He just made that shit up on the spot. Right?
He gonna AI. He
Okay,
gonna
y'all look up.
Yeah, he-
Richest
he gonna
Man.
pull AI real quick.
Yeah, he just
Give me
freestyled the
highlights, give me
title.
highlights
Richest
of,
Man in Babylon. Right.
It wasn't me and you together, supposed to be forever. Plus we were lit together, pop out matching Gucci sweater. It wasn't they can tell it, know when they see us they jealous. I took you through some but you still got me through whatever. I can't answer why you won't leave. You think he better than me? No, I kept it too screen. Can't find no better than me. Mama told me say what I love. My bro say let her just be. I can't keep going back and forth. I should just let her go free. Cause if you stay then go on and on and on, trying to tell me I'm wrong. Cause I did not make
Hey, man, this is Marcus with Unapologetically Memphis. We tuned in to the Antonio Parkinson Project. Big Memphis.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Welcome back to the Antonio Parkinson Project. I am Antonio Parkinson. I'm joined with my wonderful co-host, Angelica Jelly Woods, in the building.
Yes, I'm here, y'all. Y'all missed this time. Right.
DJ Kojak in the building.
Man, we in the house.
We are in the
First
house.
day of March. Let's
That's
do
right.
it.
That's right. And we got our very, very special guest in the building. First timer. East Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris.
Yes.
Yes.
What's up, Mayor Harris?
Hey. What's up? You got
He said, what did I walk
Look at the camera. You
into?
can look at us, man.
you got a lot of equipment here.
Right.
That's a whole lot of stuff going on in this place. That's for sure.
It is, man. Hey, man, we appreciate you being here, man.
Absolutely.
You know, seriously, we appreciate you being here. I know
Sure.
you're very busy, man. A lot going on. Look, he said,
I got when the most powerful man in Tennessee calls. You got to show up.
Who called you? Who called you?
He got the most power.
State Representative Antonio Parkinson. Y'all know.
Don't gas him
Y'all
up.
know. Come on now.
Mr. Mayor.
You're right. He got to wear that hat later, so don't do it.
That is
His head
hilarious.
already big enough.
Yeah, you're
Mr.
right.
Mayor.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, we call him Usher.
Miss Mayor, look, y'all don't show out in front of company. We got company tonight.
Be on my
and
best behavior.
DJ Kojak, tell her we got company tonight.
got
So we got
company.
On my best behavior.
right. Mayor Harris, what's happening in Shelby County government right now? What's happening? You know, bring us up to speed on it.
Sure. So lots of things are happening, and I think a lot of us welcome the new superintendent of the Memphis Shelby County Schools today. So Councilwoman Tawan Stout Mitchell had a luncheon along with Carol Johnson for the new superintendent to welcome her. So we had lots of folks from lots of different groups to say hello and to put things on her plate. So it was about 20, 25 of us who all had about 1 minute to share with her what we think the most important thing that Memphis and Shelby County Schools can do next. And so you can imagine after that kind of conversation, she had a long to-do list. But she seemed very capable. I think she comes from Detroit. And she enthusiastically received us and all of our agenda items. And so that's what's going on today for me.
Yeah, Dr. Marie Fegans.
Marie Fegans.
Dr. Marie
That's
Fegans.
right.
She's sharp as shit too. I had breakfast with her the other day.
She's from the Midwest. Hello.
She's from the D. Well, outside of the D.
Midwest.
Yeah. She's dope though, man. I thought she was about 29 years old when I saw her. Man. She was young.
Yeah. She said, what did she say? She said, she lost her voice. So she said, my voice, sounds like, what did she say? One of these guys with a deep voice. Name somebody with a deep voice.
Oh, Lou Ross.
Lou Ross.
Barry White.
She
Barry
said,
White.
for the sake of this story, she said, my voice sounds like Barry White. We said, Barry White, we want to hear a Stax artist.
Right.
When you lose your voice around here,
Right. You
say
sound like Isaac Hayes.
You say like Isaac Hayes. That's what we told her.
Right.
So we said, that's point number one. Yeah. And then we went into all the various important points about it.
Yeah.
Advancing, the interests of students in Memphis and Shelby County schools. 100,000 students, over 200 school buildings. So she's got a lot on our plate. But the good thing, we had Tony Williams as an interim superintendent.
Right.
And Tony Williams did a fabulous job stabilizing things, keeping things going.
Yeah.
And so I had a great working partnership with her, and looking forward to having a great working partnership with Dr. Fagans as she comes from Detroit.
Yeah. And so, and I think that's good to know, and a good, perfect segue, because, I think it's important for people to understand. It's going to be a lot of civics given in this show today. It's important for people to understand the role that Shelby County government, not Memphis City government, Shelby County government plays in education. You want to explain that?
No, that's exactly right. So Shelby County government is huge, obviously, huge budget and all the rest. But we also fund Memphis and Shelby County schools. So a large part of the budget for Memphis and Shelby County schools comes from Shelby County government, which means it comes from all of you in Shelby County and mostly your property taxes. Over $400 million. We push to Shelby County schools every year, and we support them on their school construction projects. Right. And, it's been a big agenda item of mine from, my whole career, that we build a new high school in Frayser. So we finally got the money for that and got Memphis and Shelby County schools on board. So you see a lot of community meetings and a lot of real excitement in the Frayser community about that new high school. And that's going to be, that's going to be close to $100 million project by the time it's done. And so $100 million in Frayser, that's kind of a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity.
Yeah, $100 million anywhere.
$100 million anywhere. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it again in Cordova. Another $100 million in Cordova to build a new high school there. Of course, Cordova already has a high school, but it's one of the few neighborhoods in Memphis and Shelby County that's actually growing. Right. And so we're going to build a second high school for Cordova. And so it's the first time you've seen a high school in Memphis and Shelby County being built in the last 10 years. So, and I'm hoping Marie Fagans keep these projects on on schedule,
Right.
because it's real hard. So that's what I told her. I said, you can't, no more empty school buildings. There's too many empty school buildings all over the place. And, you know, Shelby County government will take them.
Yeah,
and
the
we'll
state,
develop.
And the state is trying to take them from you.
Yeah, we'll take them if y'all, you know. And there are too many kids that are going to schools that, you know, the roof is leaking, the heat's not working.
Right.
They're too hot, too cold. They can't focus on learning.
Right.
They don't have any place to play football. You go to Trezent, they don't have any fields, and they can't practice their athletics and all the rest. And you know, so you know, too many of our buildings are old, so we need to do something about all that stuff. So I'm gonna be working on all that stuff.
Yeah. So Cordova's getting a new high school.
Cordova's getting a new high school.
Why are we building a new high school in Cordova?
Well, that's it, because it's the only place in Memphis and Shelby County that's growing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's booming out there. I don't know if you've ever driven Cordova, like that, what's that, Walnut Grove, I guess, that, you know, little Walnut Grove area that takes you out there. Germantown Parkway. I mean, these are like the busiest places in Memphis and Shelby County.
Well, I have driven it. Part of Cordova is my district, but that was actually an alley-oop to you to talk about Germantown, taking Germantown High School, but you didn't go there, but I'll go there.
Well, so, you can go there. I keep it on the positive. I represent the suburbs and the city. I represent all.
Look, he said, when I leave this show, I still got to live with these folks. Yeah, but I'll tell it. You don't have to tell it. I'll tell it. So, because it came before the state, you know, the city of Germantown, and I call it a theft. They came and took, literally commandeered the Germantown High School buildings that belong to Shelby County through state law, through my colleague Mark White. And so everything that I'm saying, I've said before to them. So it's nothing new to them. And I thought it was a lot of bullshit that was being spoken, she's
beeping all this stuff out, right? You got to beep all that out.
That's a beat.
But you know, the thing is this, you know, is that, you know, it's unfortunate though that sometimes, you know, we get the bad end of the stick, you know, as Memphis and Shelby Countyans, you know, because they utilize that supermajority up there to do things to us that they wouldn't want done to themselves. And they literally took the high schools, right? And forced us to have to build, you know, another school, because we had the capacity at Germantown High School. You don't have to say it, man. I'll say it. Right. Yeah. But anyway, so now we are getting a shiny new school, but how much is it going to cost us?
That's $100 million. That's what a school costs nowadays. $100 million. $100 million. And I would say now those Cordova kids were being bused all the way to Germantown.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I don't know how y'all feel about that, but there's no reason why we can't have good stuff in Cordova where those kids live, where they don't have to be bused all the way to Germantown.
Now I agree
to
with
get an
that.
education.
I agree with that, but I also agree with the fact that those kids that were going to Germantown and those parents that were sending their kids to the Germantown building, you know, wanted their kids there. So, you know, I agree. I won't push back on that.
So I have a question. The libraries, do you guys have anything to do with the libraries being built?
I could. What do you want to see? What would you like to happen?
Frayser's getting a new library.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have something to do with that?
So no, City of Memphis is building a new Frayser library, and there's been success after success in Frayser, because you have the community center that was a few years ago, and now hopefully, I actually haven't driven past the library, so I can't verify, but there has been talk of doing the library, and now we're going to do the new high school, and it just shows community organization.
It's already being put up. I pass it to go drop my daughter
in the park.
In the park. I'm excited about the park.
Yeah.
So y'all get y'all cousins. Do not tear up this park, because I'm excited to take my daughter there. Oh Lord.
Right. Yeah.
Cross my fingers.
Get your kinfolk. Right. And so Mayor, you know, which I think this is a perfect opportunity to talk about this too. You know, of course, you know, with me spending as much time as I spend in Nashville, they're in a metro form of government. We still operate in two forms of government: City of Memphis, Shelby County. You know, two mayors, and you know, it's confusing to a lot of people. So you just touch on it a little bit.
No, I know. Yeah, we got a football team with two quarterbacks, right?
Right.
That doesn't
operating at the same time, right?
Operating at the same time. Two quarterbacks on the field at the same time.
Right.
It is what it is. I mean, it's our history, and so we're all trying to, you know, make it through. You know, I don't. If it's the best system, I don't know. But what I do know is the people are not willing to change it, because it takes the political will to change it, and I don't think the folks want to do it. A lot of folks, if you think about a lot of folks who are, you know, or a lot of our black residents, well, they don't want to merge and have one form of government because they're afraid in a merged environment that they will dilute their political power.
Right.
And
Is that still the case though today? Because black folks everywhere in Shelby County.
We're everywhere around the country, by the way.
Yeah,
we're all over. We're everywhere. You can't go anywhere
Yeah.
and not find a black neighborhood and black folks. But that's yes, exactly. Well, I don't know. I think the last time we had a referendum on it, blacks or in the city, people barely approved the merger.
Right.
It wasn't overwhelming. But you may be right. Maybe things have changed. And then of course, in a lot of neighborhoods that are not majority black, there's a lot of opposition from the residents of those neighborhoods because they think merging with Memphis means crime.
Yeah.
It means that property values are getting ready to go down.
So we're talking about the outlying municipalities, Bartlett,
Exactly.
Millington, Arlington, Lakeland, Germantown, Collierville. And black folks are saying, if they ain't interested in doing, we definitely are not interested in doing it, and just to merge unincorporated Shelby County with the city of Memphis. And that's basically what they did with the schools, when the schools merged. Yeah. And so since we got the schools merged, Mr. Mayor, has there not been, or is there no interest in conversation with merging the areas that we can, like fire, police and sheriff, in those areas? Is there not any conversation or interest
Well,
in that?
one thing we probably should merge is probably our transit system. Probably do some real work on transit, because transit needs to be a regional approach anyway. There's no reason to have just the city of Memphis Transit.
Right.
And so maybe at some point we'll have a real conversation about that. And maybe things have changed, like you say, because you think about the history, and historically it feels like we were separated for racial reasons. You had a majority white school board on the Shelby County School Board side, and white mayors in the Shelby County government, and so forth. And then on the city side, you'd have black mayors like Willie Harrington, and you'd have the Memphis School Board, which was majority black, and so forth. But over time, that changed. You had you got black mayor on the county side, and for a while, you had a white mayor on the city side. So some of those old kind of historical facts that kept us separate have really changed. And as you say, the most important thing is we everywhere. You go 50 miles in any direction. It doesn't matter. Out of Memphis, in Memphis, it doesn't matter. We're there. We're there. So
But what about? I'm gonna go back to this. What about areas that are mergeable, like fire department? There's no conversation around that. And I'm a bit surprised that there's no conversation.
In fact, I think that's probably one of the areas where there's probably tension.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah, because fire departments, you have to build firehouses, and those are expensive, and so forth. So in fact, we just took over some of the fire responsibility that City of Memphis didn't want. So we're building a new firehouse right now as a result of that process. So that's probably a little bit more tension. That's probably not an area that's ripe, but transit, which is an area, that's probably the next area that's ripe out there. And we obviously play well every day, because we got to play well every day, city, county. And there are areas where there is a lot of merger activity, planning and development, right? If you're going to do development or pull a permit, well, city and county all play a role in that to make sure that process is efficient, that you can, do your development project.
Right. So I'm a retired firefighter, and how long you been mayor now?
Long time. Let's see here. 5.5 years.
5.5 years. So
You're like the only mayor I know of the county ever.
Really?
But I only been here. I've been here 10 years. I don't know who the other mayor was.
Yeah.
No, don't worry. It all. We're all starting. This is the beginning. We are in the beginning right now, so don't worry.
So what about areas though? And this will be my last couple of questions on the fire department, because I'm a retired firefighter from Shelby County. I was Shelby County firefighter. What about areas like aligning, the department with like drop plans like Memphis got, or keeping up with the pay. Memphis got a 14% hit, man, on the fire department raises. And, and so, but, the thing is that you have to keep things competitive, because what happens is you end up losing firefighters from Shelby County because their pay now is lower. They'll go over to Memphis and work over there.
Well, we pay our people pretty well. I mean, I'd like to see all Shelby County employees get a raise. Yeah. So when I bring my budget this time around, if I can, I'm going to be bringing a proposal that has raises for all the Shelby County employees, because all of them been working hard. Yeah. All of them face an inflationary period. You know how expensive things are right now? I mean, you can't buy, I spend like $20 to buy like, I don't know, six chicken wings. I mean, $20. What in the world is happening? Like what's happening here? So all our employees are facing those high prices. All of them are working really, really hard. All of them have been through a pandemic. So I'd like to see them all get a raise. I'd like fire to get a raise. I'd like for the deputy sheriffs to get a raise, but I also want all the rest of the employees to get a raise.
just stroke it, man. You know you can do it, man. I'm just kidding, man.
I got to convince the commission.
Speaking of the budget, where can you find the budget? Is the budget accessible online?
Man, people don't need to worry about that.
See,
They
somebody asked me, you are
worry about that.
They said they wouldn't be able to view the budget.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Yeah, where you trying to create all these watchdogs?
Okay. You can't see it. Okay, I'm asking the question.
No. You can see it, but you can rest assured that we're handling the business, and that we're building new schools, and we're focused on all the things that matter right now. In fact, we're focused on healthcare. So if you go to, let's see here, shelbycounty.co/workout, then you'll see our list of gyms that you can go to for free, because we're trying to do this thing to get people interested in their healthcare. Anybody
now know about this?
Wait a minute.
Anybody go to Shelby County?
Wait, let's hold
This is our Shelby Cares. It's actually shelbycares.co. Sorry, shelbycares.co.
Oh man, we got to make sure we put that in live. Y'all hold up.
Go to shelbycares.co.
We're going to come back and talk about these free gyms that the mayor just talked about that I didn't know about.
I'm going to the website right now.
We're going to come back and talk about the jail, and we are also going to come back and talk about Regional 1. So we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Like, follow, subscribe. You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Grab a bag with a roller, grab your cup and let pour up. They didn't want us round it first, but now they act like they know what. Hey, but they show love, yeah, we show out when we show up. I don't even do the liquor, that shit might make me throw up. But we talked up, this the after party. Shit grabbing on my body. White girl got a bottle in the club, and that going all it. Turned up in a wreck the party. We just brought out everybody. No, we got our have some fun. We at the after party.
Yeah, what's good? This is Carlos 6 July Brody, and you're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Welcome back to the Antonio Parkinson Project. I am Antonio Parkinson, and we are here with my wonderful co-host Angelica Jelly Woods in the building.
Yes, y'all. We're going to be talking to Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, that's
We're
right.
Good things. I'm excited about this health initiative. So.
Okay. And DJ Kojak in the building. Scratch it up 4 times, DJ Kojak.
I'm soaking up all this knowledge, man.
I didn't hear anything.
You didn't hear? We heard it. What's wrong with you, man?
You will on.
And we got the Shelby County Mayor in the building. Scratch it up, Shelby County Mayor.
Scratch it up.
Okay.
Scratch it up. Don't be scared of it.
Y'all hear it now?
Do it.
Turn up.
Can
Y'all
you
hear
hear
it now?
Can you hear it now? Do
Y'all hear
it.
it
Do
now?
it. Do it.
Y'all hear it now?
Do it.
I don't think y'all heard anything. You sure?
Mixtape coming out now.
I didn't know he had skills like that, man. Trying to take my job.
He's trying to take your job.
DJ Kojak is a little different from the most DJs I know. He's silent. He's a silent DJ.
We all heard it. I don't know what you're talking about.
He moves in silence.
I heard it, Angela. Did you hear it? Right.
I didn't know.
Step it up.
Right. He ain't got to have no plugs on his.
But you know what? One time I saw, LA does these parties.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're silent parties.
Yeah, they doing
here.
They doing here in Memphis.
Yeah, they got them here.
They doing here
every
You seen that?
Yeah,
It's
we got
amazing.
them
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, Cynthia Daniels does it too at Elixir.
Huh.
You know, so you got one room that's silent party,
In the other, yeah.
and the killer party, you hear everybody shouting and saying, "Hello," you know, the whole thing, but ain't no music playing. Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
I guess it misses the next level. It's silent without the headphones.
Very
ready, Mr.
creative. Yeah. So hey, Mr. Mayor, thank you for all the information you bring. You know, we're gonna make sure we help spread the word about ShelbyCares.co. You know, get in on some of these classes. You know, get healthy. Yeah. But now let's transition, which is a hard transition to the jail. You know, we're needing a new jail. I just saw some legislation. I didn't know about it till it hit the news today. Actually, that one of my colleagues, Representative Gillespie, was saying that that it will allow Shelby County to raise taxes to build the jail. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, our taxes are already too high, so I'm opposed to taxes to build the new jail.
Ooh, right. Let's give him a clap. Round of applause for that. So did y'all ask for him to bring the legislation?
I'm not sure. I don't know enough about the effort in Nashville, so I can't make a comment on that. But I do know that our taxes are just too high at this point, and we should not be raising taxes to build a jail. And I'm opposed, and I can't imagine that there'll be commissioners that want to raise taxes to build a jail.
Right.
So I think we're gonna have to find another way. And the reality is, a jail project is a big project. It takes many years to get a project like that done, and it's not likely to happen in my term, which is only 2 years left. And so and in fact, it's not likely to happen in the first term of the next mayor. And so I think we need to focus on what we can get right now, which is we need to build a mental health facility so that some of the folks that need those services that are in our jail right now get those services. We've got a plan to do that. We can afford to do that without raising people's taxes. So we need to focus on that. Working through all the issues we have in the court system, because a lot of the public believes, rightly or wrongly, that there's not enough trials being had and that there's not enough action, that people aren't working hard enough in our courtroom system down at 201 Poplar. So we need to get those things right.
But how much truth is that? Because a lot of these cases get settled. I mean, you are actually a law professor, am I correct? Yeah. So he actually taught law. Yeah, University of Memphis. So, but how truthful? I mean, I think it needs to be put in context. A lot of these cases get settled before they go to trial. Am I correct?
No, I think you're right. You're right. I mean, you're right. Some of this stuff may be a little bit exaggerated or maybe misdirection. I'm not sure, but I know a lot of the public believes right now that there is not enough work going on in our court system. And so when the public has that belief, they don't want you to invest more money in a system where, they're not seeing the kind of results they want to see. They believe that some of this stuff is happening down there, whether it's true or not. And so it's just not the right time to invest more money if you have to raise taxes to do it. If we can figure out another way to do it, right, I'm all for tightening our belt. I'm all for making cuts, right, those kinds of things. But raise taxes to build a new jail at this time when people are facing such high costs with their groceries and all the rest, I just don't think it's the right time to be raising taxes for a jail.
Well, what do we do about the problems? And y'all feel free to jump in. What do we do about the problems that's going on at the jails? Because there's a lot of people dying in the jail right now. I mean, they're dying. They're literally dying.
No, there are a lot of problems with the jail based on the reporting and so forth. I think the sheriff is trying to take on some of those problems. Remember, in Shelby County government, as opposed to the city of Memphis, we've got lots of countywide elected officials, and each one has their own area of responsibility. And so management of the jail is not necessarily in the Shelby County mayor's office. We try to work with the sheriff. We try to work with the sheriff. And like I say, I think he's trying as best he can to handle some of the issues. And I think everybody is really, really remorseful when there's a death in the jail. Hopefully he's addressing that stuff. And, we're partner with him. We'd love to partner with him on whatever he needs to get that done. But, we've probably seen too many of those issues. I think, like I said, the thing I'm working on right now, and I'm working with him in partnership, is to have a mental health facility. Because that mental health facility, we could have 60 beds, and we've got a lot of folks who languish in that jail. Most of them have some sort of traumatic event in their life, some sort of mental instability, some sort of prescription need. And so they languish in that jail for a very long time, some of them as long as 500 days, because they can't get access to the prescription. Because guess what? If we're going to give somebody in jail their prescription, you got to have a health care provider to do that. The sheriff can't do that. The deputy sheriff can't do that. The jailers can't do that. So they just sit there and need their prescription. And by the way, as long as that is the case, right, when they're not stable, as long as they're not stable, their case can't move forward. So that's what I mean. They end up sitting there for a year or 500 days because the rules are none of these cases can advance. They can't go anywhere. No hearings, none of this stuff until they are stable. And sometimes stabilizing those individuals takes a prescription, something that is not within the ability of the sheriff or his jailers. But if we have a mental health facility, we will staff it with mental health professionals, build it to their specifications, and be able to deliver those prescriptions and so forth in a timely fashion.
What about people that are not living at the mental facility that you're proposing? Can people that have previous conviction who are getting supplied the medication come there and get their medication? Because Parkinson, I don't know if you remember during a town hall meeting, see, I was paying attention. One of the people stood up and they said that a lot of when they go to jail or prison, they're getting these prescriptions, they're doing good, and then they get out and they don't have the health care, and it triggers them to have another behavior. So will you propose that they can get those filled even if they're not receiving those services there?
No, that's exactly right. That you can't just do the facility in jail, the mental health facility. You also have to do a couple things. You got to transition them out when they are due to get out, and have exit care. Prescriptions that they can take with them. Referrals for housing, all the rest that they'll need as they exit that facility. But in terms of, can you get people the care they need off the street, like where do they go? So there's some nonprofits that are working on that right now. Alliance is building a brand new facility off of Summer in kind of the
right there in Binghamton.
Binghamton area, and that's going to be exactly what you're talking about, a street level, accessible opportunity for folks to get the kind of mental health care needs that they're looking for. And so anybody will be able to go to the Alliance Center, walk in, be seen by a provider, get access to their prescription and so forth. And the state of Tennessee, thanks to Antonio Parkinson, thanks to Governor Lee, the state of Tennessee has put in to support that effort. Shelby County put in to support that effort. And I believe the city of Memphis put in to support that effort. And so if you drive down Summer, you'll see that building coming online. And anybody who needs help can go there.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Shelby County government also has a place if you're part of a family. It's our Youth and Family Resource Center. So
Right here in Raleigh.
exactly right,
Yeah,
exactly.
the capital of Memphis, right here in Raleigh.
I didn't know it was the capital,
Yeah, it's the
but
capital.
Raleigh's good nonetheless, capital or not.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's
we-
capital.
we-
You should put a sign up too that says
The
it's
mayor
capital.
said y'all not getting
Yeah.
capital.
Yeah, he should put the sign up on I-40 in Austin Peay saying capital of Memphis.
as I said, capital or not.
Right.
It's a good place to live and all the rest. And we've got a Youth and Family Resource Center in the Raleigh area, and the Youth and Family Resource Center is where any child and any parent can go to get access to the resources they may need because there's some sort of strain happening at the home, and they're looking for help. And so we're open every day. We're doing assessments every day and referring those families for the services to get those families back to stabilization. So, there's some offerings out there. We need to be doing a lot more. Memphis and Shelby County Schools is also doing some things. So, we have the Youth and Family Resource Center. Memphis and Shelby County Schools also has some resource centers along the same lines where they're also doing the same thing for students who are looking for someplace to go to, get referrals and get the kind of care that they might need, even specialized care.
Right. And let me show the link. Let me show the link real quick too. I think it's important to show the link between these things that the mayor is talking about, especially when it comes to mental health and the state's role, right? We failed to expand Medicaid for health services, right? Health insurance. Mississippi just expanded Medicaid right across the bridge, right? I mean, not the bridge, across State Line Road. I don't know
probably
why.
a bridge in Mississippi
Right.
somewhere.
I tell people, they always talk about building a wall. I said we should build one to State Line Road. Look, Mayor, you ain't got to say nothing, Mayor. You ain't got to say. Look, Mayor's like, but real talk. Our failure to expand Medicaid caused a lot of this to happen because people are not receiving those mental health services that they could have been receiving had we expanded Medicaid. Been another 40,000 Tennesseans that would have received insurance, right? And some of them are in the jail that would have received insurance that probably could have avoided being put in jail because they'd have had the insurance that they needed. And that's a sad misfortune. Well, let's talk about synergy with juvenile court, right? Because a lot of the crime that we're hearing about, is happening at the youth ages, youth level. What kind of synergy? What are we doing to work with juvenile court to be able to try to get our children on the right path?
So we've got a new juvenile court judge, Tarek Sugarman.
Right.
And so he's in charge of a juvenile court. And he is doing a bang-up job of bringing more resources to the task and reforming some of the things that are going on in juvenile court. And so we recently partnered together with the judge to invest, I think it was $2 or $3 million additional resources per year to bring on about 40 new individuals in the juvenile court judges orbit. So he's going to have 40 new positions to hire more folks that can intervene in the lives of our young folks that find themselves in the system. So that's a real game changer because his operation is overall not that big. I can't remember how many there are, but it couldn't be more than 200 people that work over there right now. And so to add 40 more people to that operation is a real game changer. And it was expensive, but we found the money to do it because it's so important. And like you say, the public is constantly talking about what about the youth and what are we doing to get those folks back on the right track? Because we know youth that commit a crime, obviously, like I've heard you give a speech on it many, many times. We might be mad and or scared, and depending on the kinds of crimes, depending on what kind of crime they commit. But we also know that these juveniles are going to be around for a very long time. If you're 18 years old, you're going to be around for about 50 years, right? Probably one way or another. And what do you want them doing for the next 50 years? And so it's better for us if we remind them that they've got a bright future ahead of them, and that they do have some options when they find themselves on the wrong side of the law. So, I think that's the mindset of Clerk, and I think that's what he's working on right now. Same time, what I'd love to do on my end of things is I'd like to do more innovative work on youth reentry. So we've got the Shelby County Office of Reentry. It's led by DeAndre Brown. We all know him well. He's doing a really, really great job.
DeAndre Brown.
Yeah. And we're expanding his campus, right? We're trying to build a transitional housing facility on his campus right now. So that'll be great. So we're innovating on his campus. But, he primarily deals with the young adults and adults. But what about the youth? Do we have reentry services, for lack of a better word, for youth who've been in the system? What are we doing for them? So we're trying to create Shelby County's first youth reentry office, where people who have been in the system can get additional services once they are no longer under the thumb of juvenile court. Like once they leave juvenile court and leave Tariq Sugarman, they still might need some help and, and some specialized help. So where do those youth go? We're going to try to open up an office of youth and reentry. We probably got still got about 12 months to go, but we're at the beginning stages of that process. And so we're real optimistic about that.
What role is Department of Children's Services going to play with that? Because, there needs to be some synergy there. 70, 80, let me rephrase that. But I think it was 72 or 78% of our inmate population has come through the Department of Children's Services, and a lot of these youth also are somehow some way involved in the Department of Children's Services, which is they're terrible. I say it all the time. The state is horrible at some of the things that the state's supposed to be doing. You don't have to say it, but I say it for you. Right? Yeah, he did say, "Oh yeah," on that one.
Absolutely. They definitely have their challenges.
Education and children and human services, man. What's up? We trashed.
On children's services in the states definitely had its challenges. Right. And so, I don't know what can be done at this point. I'll say this, that they're partnering with juvenile court judge, and so that's good. But obviously some of the biggest challenges have been on the detention front at the state level, and how they are helping and supporting kids that have to be detained, because that's a real specialized art. It's a very, very expensive proposition, right? To detain a kid for years, $200,000, right? To detain an adult is maybe $30,000, right? But a kid, it's a couple $100,000. So we're investing a lot in that operation at the state level, and the question is, are you getting bang for your buck? And sometimes we see stories, and we know those stories, that it's just not, it's not going well. So hopefully they'll bounce back. I mean, maybe one day Shelby County will partner with them. I don't know. But that's come up from time to time, that maybe Shelby County should partner with the DCS and try to do some of the detention services that they would do in this part of the state.
I mean, a personal story, and I'm going to be transparent. I have my brother. He struggles with mental illness, but of course, in the Black community, we're in denial about it. We don't want to acknowledge it. But we have went in front of the court and said, "Hey, can you make us get him help, because he won't get the help?" And it was sad and disheartening. The judge literally said, "No, not for this crime. He has to commit a felony."
Wow.
So the fact that they say that, and I know that's not your problem, but I'm just saying the fact that you're saying, okay, because you can make somebody go get a mental health. They do 3 days. They get out.
And they released. Yeah.
Yep. Or you can call a sheriff squad.
Mobile
and they send them to Lakewood.
Crisis.
And then, okay, then what? And it's like, so you want them to, you want them to commit a felony to get help. We're telling you, hey, this person, that right there, I don't know who needs to change it. That's from and I don't even know where he's at right now. So, and we're scared he's going to do something serious. I was talking about that earlier. The offense is like small, little petty things, but at what point, when we're saying, hey, he needs the help, then the response is, oh no, when he commits the felony, then he can get that help.
That's terrible, But I'll tell you this though, Memphis Police Department mobile crisis unit, they are incredible. Those are the ones that talk to people off the bridge, and they are killing the game right now. But we're in a crisis now.
You have to be a felon?
And Mayor Harris, I thank God for his experience at the state level too, because he was Senator Harris too, right? We actually passed some bills together.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And but he understands,
That's why I feel like I know you a long time, because I remember you from then. I'm like, no, you've been a long time.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And he was Councilman Harris too.
Been around a long time.
Right.
And I look like Kobe Bryant.
That too. That part too.
That's what I remind.
And we're in the capital of Memphis. Yeah. And we're in the capital of Memphis. Right.
Whether it's capital or not.
But the mental health crisis is, we're not screaming to the rafters enough on it, because it is it's not pandemic, but it is
I agree.
endemic.
Absolutely.
Right?
It
is exasperating. And I tell people, there's not a person that I know that doesn't have someone that is within 1 degree of separation of them that is in severe mental health crisis. Not
That's true.
Simple crisis.
I agree.
But,
Absolutely.
we all know people that are operating in spaces of psychosis and this, that, and other right now as we speak, that are relatives of friends.
And need help. Need help. Like daily kind of help.
Yeah.
It's all tough.
Yeah. And especially when you had that first time family member, I'm sure that's what y'all been going through. It is a tough space to navigate. Yeah. I've been through it too myself. So, I know, and a lot of other people have too, but man, it is.
Yeah, especially if you're not diagnosed before the age of 18, you have to go into conservatorship and all these things. You don't have no control. Look at Britney Spears' family. Like, it is an example, but.
Well, I will say to your audience that if they have a senior that's going through, because there's also a lot of issues with seniors on some of this, the dementia and all the rest, that they can find resources in Shelby County and our aging commission. That our aging commission does try to, counsel those kind of families and lead them to where they can get the services they need, because a lot of families can be overwhelmed by that. But like you say, it's all of us, all our families, we need a lot more. We need a lot more in terms of services.
Yeah. Okay, y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. We're talking to the mayor of Shelby County, Mayor Lee Harris. You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
I'm not ready yet to let you go.
Hey, this is Memphis Mayor Paul Young, and you are watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Welcome back to the Antonio Parkinson Project. I see the mayor trying to get over here in my shot. Welcome back to the Antonio Parkinson Project. You're in the capital of Memphis, Tennessee, and the mayor agrees. Raleigh, 38128, we would love to have you come by and visit. We got a lot of businesses coming. Come by. We're recruiting right now. Angelica Jellywoods in the building, in the capital. Right. Hey, that's right. DJ Kojak in the building. You're a Raleigh resident.
Welcome to the capital.
Surrounded by Exit 8. That's right. And we got Mayor Lee Harris. Mayor Lee Harris, thank you for being here. We know we keep you much longer than you thought.
Why did you mean her?
I'm doing it. I don't know if anybody can see me. Can y'all see me out there? I'm bleeding.
We're gonna hold up the sign.
He's being honcho. He is getting honcho. Welcome to our life on the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Right.
But seriously, whether it's the capital or not, and whether we're, I don't know, I guess we're over now at this point. Whether we're over or not, I'm pleased to be here, and I'll say whatever needs to be said to keep my family alive. Keep my family alive. Give the police enough time to get there.
Right. You're outside of the sheriff's area. Right. He's in an undisclosed place in the city. Right. But it's too fun. But so Mayor, Regional 1, let's talk about the value, first of all, of Regional 1 as it is right now. How important is Regional 1 hospital to the region?
No, Regional 1 is a really important public hospital that happens to be located in Memphis and Shelby County. It's important because it's the place that we're all going to go if we really need urgent care. And so they are the kind of hospital that keeps on staff at all times, a variety of different specialties that are able to respond quickly in the case we need them. So if you're in a car accident, or if you fall off a ladder, or God forbid, you are the victim of a shooting, you want to go to Regional 1 where you know all those specialties are present and you can get served. It's the only trauma center for hundreds of miles around, and that's where you're going to get the best care, and that's where you're going to have the best chances that your life is going to be served. At the same time, Regional 1 is the place where a lot of our healthcare providers are trained. In fact, most doctors, nurses, and all the rest at some point in their career train at Regional 1 because of the nature of what Regional 1 has to offer. And so if we're going to be a first-rate community, a first-rate region, West Tennessee, first-rate state, you know, you've got to have great training grounds so that you can train healthcare providers and keep them in your state. You stop losing that, right? You stop losing that ability. You don't get companies, because that's one of the first things they look for, and you know you don't move forward as a state. So it's really, really critically important.
Yeah, and but did you have something, Coach? Okay, but what about also who they serve? Because they don't just serve us here in Shelby County.
Yeah. So I get that question a lot, and I know where your mind is going, and let's just go ahead and put it out there.
Okay,
Why don't we
Mayor.
get the state of Mississippi to pay for Regional 1? Why don't we get Arkansas to pay for Regional 1? So let's go there. All right, Sarah Huckabee is the governor of Arkansas, and the governor of Mississippi is Tate Reeves. Now, Sarah Huckabee is not going to pay for us to do anything in the center of Midtown Memphis and Memphis. And we need a new hospital, but Sarah Huckabee is not going to pay for it.
Build that wall. Build that wall.
Let me talk about the wall too. Let me get to the wall too.
Right.
Tate Reeves is the governor of Mississippi. And if Tate Reeves said, hey, you know what, Mayor Harris, I got the Lander Center over here. It needs a new roof. And you know who goes to the Lander Center? Memphis and Shelby County. Why don't you pay for a new roof? I would say to him something. I'd say HE double hockey sticks. No,
But
I'm not paying for a new roof at the Lander Center, and everybody here would support that. Everybody be like, what in the world are you talking about? So at the same time, I can't get Tate Reeves to pay for a new hospital just because there may be 10%, 5% maybe, 5% of Mississippians that use that hospital. I can't get him to do it, just like he can't get me to pay for a Lander Center roof. You know, I remember a real famous politician, real famous, and his campaign message was the simplest campaign message ever, but it was silly and it was a fraud. He said, I'm going to do the biggest infrastructure project the country's ever seen. I'm going to build a wall for hundreds of miles on our southern border, the most expensive infrastructure project the world has ever seen. And he said, you know what? I'm just going to get the Mexicans to pay for it. And we all laughed and laughed and laughed. And now Antonio's about 5 seconds away from saying to me, why don't you go ahead and get the Mississippi governor to pay for it? And all I can say is, what the HE double hockey stick?
But what I was really going to say is, why don't you get the Mississippi government to pay for that wall on State Line Road so we can keep their asses over there in Mississippi?
Yeah. We need a toll road. We need a toll road.
That's not fair. But they come in here.
Trauma center. They need the help.
Let me finish what I'm saying. That's not what I'm talking about, though. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not where I was going.
Talking about regional.
No, that's not where I was going. I was talking about how they come in here, get their checks, use our roads, and then take their asses back and build their cities in Mississippi. That's what I'm talking about. Right. And so, and you know, I believe that, I believe that if they're going to come here and work, make money, they should be helping to pay for the things that they use and we use here in our not just our city, but the state. Seriously.
And then Donald Trump said the same thing. He said, look, man, all these Mexicans are coming into our country.
Right.
And they're going to pay for the wall.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
what he said.
we should make them Mississippians pay for the wall.
At least a toll.
That's another
They
thing.
come across, they throw that money, they put that money in the toll. I owe
If they got
Dallas
Mississippi
right now,
plates.
because they got my plate.
They got your place.
Now you give
Old
it.
Dallas.
Right.
So that's a state thing. We can get the state. The state got to work on that because we'll take a toll road if we get the state to approve it.
The state only want the residents to pay fees to get in the Lexus lane, which is we need to get these out of towners to pay these fees, man.
So the project overall that we've been pushing and that I'm going to continue to push for, the rest of my term is $1 billion project to really rethink our medical district and some of the important anchor tenants in the medical district. So the two most important players in this overall $1 billion investment is UT Health Science Center, which is in the center of our medical district right now. They got a dental school and a medical school and all the rest, and research centers and labs, and Regional 1, which is also in our medical district. So what does it look like if we had a UT Health, for a way to think about it, a UT Health in the middle of the medical district? And that UT Health would be just like, you've got all over the country, wherever you come from, they've got this kind of situation. They've got a academic medical center is what they're called. And what if we had one called UT Health with a new medical school, which is going to cost $350 million, a new hospital campus, which is going to cost $700 million, and we just completely rethought it and rebranded it UT Health in the middle of Memphis with $1 billion project that takes 10 years to build. That's a game changer for Memphis and Shelby County. It's a bigger project than St. Jude's project right now.
University of Iowa. It's a big medical school. We have a big hospital. We have the services.
Iowa Health. You got Iowa Health.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's old. So, I mean, and I went to school like 10 years ago, not to get my age. But we have a big hospital, services, dental, all those things, and it's free. It's free.
But we don't have Tennessee Health, and we don't, so that's what I'm proposing basically. Tennessee Health or UT Health is basically what I'm proposing. And that's what we need. And our medical school, our flagship medical school, which is University of Tennessee Health Science Center, our flagship medical school is the only one in the country that doesn't have this, doesn't have a hospital, doesn't have all the things that you need to have an academic medical center.
And they're putting out the majority of the doctors.
Absolutely. And it's good for the whole state. They have all sorts of programs, obviously, slots for medical school, but they also have residency programs, dental school and so forth. And it's our flagship. We need to invest in our flagship. And is it going to cost a lot? Yeah, it's going to cost a lot. But the good thing, local government's already put in $350 million. So Shelby County government, we're ready to put in $350 million, and we're just asking the state to put in the other $700 million.
But let's create UT Health, right? The return is huge, though. It's immense, right?
You can't get any business to come to your town without answering the healthcare hospital situation first. Right? You can't get Blue Oval to come to West Tennessee until you reopen the hospital. Right? They closed that hospital in that county.
They did.
And the first thing Blue Oval said, we can't even start
They did.
until you got the healthcare answer. We can't even start. So from that perspective of trying to get business to move into town, like a town like Memphis and Shelby County, they expect many hospital systems to be present, robust. And if Iowa has Iowa Health, Michigan has Michigan Health, Mississippi has Ole Miss Health, Alabama has Alabama Health, Kentucky has Kentucky Health, every single state except for one. And the way we do it is this way, because the medical school and all the assets happen to be related, headquartered in Memphis. They don't have to be. They just by happenstance, history, they just happen to be here. So we invest in them, we double down on them, and we create an academic medical center, which I've called for now UT Health. I think it's a game changer, and we just need, we need Antonio Parkinson to sign on to our bill, right? We need.
We got to talk to Antonio Parkinson. I'm gonna call him as soon as we get off the show. I'm gonna call him.
Can I throw a wrench in? And then nobody's gonna come here with a failing infrastructure either. So that's something that need to be addressed. But that may not be a county thing.
Well, that's mostly city.
School, I know. You put a school here. You put this. You gotta have a good infrastructure for all those things to operate. But that's a whole nother. Show.
So Antonio Parkinson doesn't do anything on a Friday night, huh? This is what he does. He just stays here. He just stays here.
Hey, man,
and he plays silent music.
Right.
DJ.
So look, I'm on my phone because people are asking, what's the deal with the clerk's office in your office? What's going to happen?
I'm not involved in the clerk's office. I don't know why she blames me for all the issues.
This is not her. This is other people asking about it.
I know, but they're asking
what's the solution?
They're asking me because she says it. See, I don't know why she's got this big campaign. She blames me for all her stuff. I don't have anything to do with the clerk. I'd help the clerk if she wanted. If she wanted my help, if she would accept my help, I'd be glad to help her. I got nothing to do. With it, and I would love to help her. But y'all see her on the news. She's her own person. She's doing her thing. She's doing her thing.
Speaking of news, this is the last question I'm gonna ask you. Speaking of news, what two things? One was second.
I thought you said the last.
I know, man, but I forgot to ask this in the last segment.
Did anybody mention this Friday night?
Right, it's Friday night. Right. Friday night, and you got some parents that got kids out there that are carjacking and creating crimes, creating havoc. Right. What responsibility and accountability is owed by that parent?
Yeah, I think they should be totally accountable.
In what ways? So what does that look like?
No, I don't know. That's a lawmaker thing.
Well, you
But-
were a lawmaker.
No, but I'm not now. I'm just saying
Today,
criminal laws.
Right. In fact, you're a law professor. Put your hat.
Criminal laws
Uh-huh.
are the responsibility of our state officials. They're not the responsibility of local government.
Boy, you stay in your lane, though.
I'm just
You must have went to school for PR too.
I'm just telling you.
Who your PR?
I'm just telling you. So we got to ask him the question.
I'm proud. This is Kojak.
I Kojak. That's when you silently hijack. Silently hijack is called Kojaking. You got to move silent and hijack.
Throw it back on them, right? Answer with a question.
I ain't getting him.
That's a Kojak.
Right,
I like it.
right.
I like it. I like it.
Well,
Kojak.
Mayor Lee Harris, man, we truly appreciate you being here. Appreciate you being a trooper, man. You hung in
Absolutely.
there with us. We honestly, we know your job is heavy, man. It's a heavy lift.
I wouldn't want it.
Yeah, and thank you for doing what you're doing. And keep up the good work, man.
Sure thing. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, man. Y'all give it up for Mayor Lee Harris in the building.
I made it overtime.
Overtime. Hey, you've been watching the Antonio Parkinson Project. Thank you to my wonderful co-host. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe, and share. And we will see you next time. It's the Antonio Parkinson Project.
You're watching the Antonio Parkinson Project.
Powered by Black Market Strategies.